Hey guys, RC enthusiasts, Mountain Storm subscribers. I know my RC stuff may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I just got to tell you, this is what I've always done. Whatever I'm doing, I share with my subscribers, share with my audience on YouTube. So if I'm doing RC stuff, that's what you see. If I'm doing gun stuff, that's what you see. If I'm cutting a piece of wood, that's what you see. So this isn't your cup of tea, you're not into RC, you stop watching right now. Thanks anyway. Okay, I just want to show you guys, I got my AX10 apart, my axe, okay? And the reason I did that is it's just time for maintenance, and this is something that you do when you own an RC. If you want to keep it running, you've got to maintain it. None of these things last forever. Everything wears out, and you got to kind of constantly be checking it and maintaining it and lubricating it and replacing bearings and stuff like that. One interesting thing I just discovered today, because I've always, like when you're filling shocks, okay, if you guys know anything about RC, they're filled with silicone oil, and when you fill them, you got to let the air get out of it, little tiny bubbles that are entrained in the fluid as you're filling it. You just leave them open and let them drain. Well, I just found out that my shocks fit perfectly in the centers of my wheels, so they just work out great. I've got free shock stands, so I just thought I'd show that off. No big deal. There's the Russian Gray, who's really enjoying the snowy weather. Look at that silky, beautiful cat. Oh my goodness, he's so pretty. And I wanted to show you guys the Bones. Okay, this is I would say this is vintage now. As fast as technology changes, as fast as things change in the toy car market, this is a Vanquish Products comp chassis built for the old AX10 Scorpion. It's very, very light. The heaviest part of this whole chassis is the skid plate, and I actually have an ultralight skid plate that I could put on here, but I don't see the point. This is an axial AX10 or SCX10 type transmission. If you've never really looked at these or thought about how they work, all it is it's just got 3 gears inside, and it allows for gear reduction. Okay, and your primary way of tuning your gear ratio is by choosing what size pinion you want. Generally, people run anywhere from a 14 on up to maybe an 18 or a 20. I'm running a 22. And the reason that you don't want to run a real tall pinion on a motor like this is because these are generally slow-moving vehicles that are designed to crawl over things. I'm using mine to get some speed out of it. So this is a Brood Intensity machine wound 35 turn brushed motor. Okay, and this motor is pretty darn powerful, so it can handle, for now anyway, until it burns up, it can handle the load of having a tall pinion. Another little thing you might want to think about is whenever you're setting up any kind of gears that mesh like this, where you have some adjustability, you want to feed a piece of typing paper in there with these screws loose and push it against it and tighten it up and then feed the paper out, and that will give you approximately the right amount of lash you want of that tiny, see that little bit of play? I'm wiggling it back and forth. That's the play between the teeth. That's what you want. You make it too tight, you're actually going to run it slower and you're going to wear everything out. Okay, very lightweight, 2 aluminum side plates, Delrin skid, inboard links. These are all axial things I've just cobbled together, axial ends, axial links and stuff. It's no big deal. The thing to do, as far as maintaining this goes, is you tear the whole transmission apart. This one has all metal gears all the way through it, and everything's riding on bearings, no bushings. So replace all the bearings, clean everything, grease everything, put it back together, you're good to go. The slipper clutch, okay, is in between these 2 aluminum pieces. You may not even be able to see the fine black line that shows you that these are actually 2 pieces, this piece of aluminum here on the spur gear. And this spring here is how you set the tension of your slipper clutch. Most people that use these for the kind of stuff I'm using it for, they just crank it all the way down and they don't even worry about a slipper clutch. This transmission has been extremely durable. This has gone through 3 different iterations in this same chassis. It was originally a competition Sportsman that was placing, actually doing some pretty good work out there. Got sold on eBay to a friend of mine. He used it for quite a while as his recreational crawler with his friends. Beat the snot out of it. I couldn't believe the things he did to it. He finally broke the locker and the differential, and ended up wanting to do a rebuild anyway. And so he got a whole different chassis. He gave this chassis and transmission to me. Thank you very much. The transmission has been very durable. and as long as you keep it well maintained, nothing really to it. I want to show you the actual shell. Right now there's some electronics kind of associated with the shell. I haven't taken them off. This is a New Bright RAT 500. I think I got this at Radio Shack for my son a long time ago. It was a cheap RC toy, and now it's just a body that I put on the crawler, and this weighs about the same as like a Lexan body. It's very, very light. The electronics weigh way more than the shell. As far as electronics go, while we got them out, we can really see them really well. Okay, this is a Hobbywing Quick Run WP1060. It's a very cheap $22 ESC that you can program with these little guys for LiPo or nickel metal halide, and you can also program it so that it has no reverse, or that it has a double tap brake reverse type setup, or it has an instant reverse. I prefer instant reverse, even though that's a lot harder on everything. It's just better for me, the double tap and all that. What this lacks is drag brake. Drag brake is the ability to hold the vehicle on a slope without it rolling backwards when you take your finger off the throttle trigger. Okay, it doesn't have much of that. It's got a little switch on it and all that stuff. Here's the power plug, XT60, to handle the extreme discharge of the LiPo cell. This is basically a voltage regulator. It's by Castle Creations. It's called a BEC, a battery eliminator circuit. But what it really is a voltage regulator that you can program. And you can put virtually any voltage into this, and then you can tailor it to only put out a certain amount. And at this point I have it programmed for 7.4 to run the servo. Okay, and it also has some lights and stuff. So that's really all it is. And there's a Velcro patch in there to slap down the ESC. I've got a tiny little transmitter in there, and this whole package here is only a couple of ounces. It doesn't really make the rig top heavy or anything. Okay, I want to show you, this is really the hardest working part of the whole vehicle in my opinion. This is the front axle. This is also the part that has the most money thrown at it, because all the parts have to be incredibly durable, so you want to put quality parts on it so it doesn't break. And you start off with an MIP drive shaft. Okay, you're going to want hardened bevel and pinion gears inside. You're going to want metal C-hubs. These happen to be Vanquish. I really like Vanquish products. I think they've got it worked out properly. There's also a lot of aftermarket support for these. The Vanquish C-hubs are attached to Vanquish Wraith knuckles. You'll see right here there's a very long steering arm on there. That's from RC Bros. And this weight hanger right here, this is from RC Bros. This thing that the wheel bolts to, it's called the Shift Hub by Lattice Innovations. Got it off of RC Crawler forums. This is a cheap servo that I found on eBay. It's about a $36 servo, something like that. It's waterproof, 244 ounces at 7.4 volts. So far, it's held up great. There is a little tiny bit of slop and play in it, but not terrible. And the main reason I like it is it's cheap and it's waterproof, and it has high torque. You can run at 7.4 volts. Okay, I've got an arm over here that I'm not using. I can't get it off because I Loctited the stuff on. These plates here are for putting brass weights on if you wanted to add weight to the front end. This big chunk of metal up here, okay, is an alternative to just running some sort of simple Y-link. See that one hole there that's not filled in the center there? Right there. That's where you would normally just attach like a Y-link to your chassis if you're running like an SCX10 or something. This allows you to put your links all sorts of different places and try out different things, different amounts of caster, all sorts of things. And obviously this is an axial SCX10, AX10 axle housing. Okay, and what you do to maintain this basically is you take it completely apart, clean it, replace all the bearings, grease everything, put it back together, and you're good to go again. Okay, it has my own custom links on it. These links, as you can see, give you a relatively radical steering angle. Okay, and they're extremely high up and out of the way. You can see from all the scuff marks where things actually hit. And then I put a basher bar on there. I just added some extra aluminum to the top, beef it up, put a light on it, put a piece of plastic over the light, that's a piece of Lexan over the light, just to keep it from getting beat to snot. And you can see that that really shrouds the whole servo. And I think this is a really smart thing to do in some way, shape, or form. is to protect your servo, because I do not run a servo saver, which is probably a good idea, but I just don't like them. And if I bash into something, I want to hit it. And here's the rear axle, which really doesn't do a whole lot of work, I don't think. And basically it's just a plastic axle housing. It's got an aluminum plate on it, again, so that I can not have to use the little Y-links, which I don't like. It's got the MIP drive shaft attached to it. And just like everything else, you just take it apart, clean it, lube it, replace all the bearings, and you're good to go again. And so that's maintenance on the Axe, on the Axial AX10 that I use as kind of a basher, hill climber, trailing vehicle. And that's great for the cat, isn't it? Yes, she's great for her. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you like RC stuff, well, thanks for watching. And if you don't, well, you probably didn't watch this video, so it doesn't matter anyway. You can comment, like, and subscribe. Yay!